how are you? Welcome to the Heartbeat of Bartlett, brought to you by the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce and First South Financial. I'm Teresa Griffith, and I'm here with Gabrielle Brooks.
Yes, thank you for joining us. This is our first time on camera together, although we've worked behind the scenes many times throughout the last year or so. You might have seen me in a previous episode or two, but I'm glad to be here with Teresa today. I am the communications manager at the Bartlett Chamber, and you've probably received a number of emails from me, but be on the lookout for some more information that we will share at the end of this episode about upcoming events and things. But I don't want to get too bogged down with that. We've got two lovely guests with us today, and we'll be talking all about Bartlett history and the importance of understanding and knowing your history, and how that can help you and be relevant in your plans for your present and your future in Bartlett. I would like to start off by introducing Miss Sue and Mr. Jack Coleman today, and I'll let them tell you a little bit more about themselves.
Okay. I'm Sue Coleman, and I'm the museum director of the Bartlett Area Chamber of Commerce. I've lived in Bartlett for quite a while and been a member of it for about 40 years.
My name is Jack Coleman, and I am currently the treasurer of the Bartlett Historical Society, the guy that's got to get the money together so we can continue to operate, which we do very well. I'm happy to be here, and we'll talk to you a little bit more about history in just a moment.
Thank you both. The Bartlett Historical Society plays a very vital role in helping to shape our community today by sharing, again, our history, the culture that has shaped Bartlett for many, many years, and they will be sharing a little bit more information about how you can get involved as well. So I guess I'd like to start off by just asking you some basic questions about how long you've lived in Bartlett and what drew you to wanting to know more about the history of the community that you live in.
Okay. Well, I actually moved to Bartlett in 1983, but I've lived in the area since '64. Well, we moved to Bartlett, and the reason I joined the Historical Society is because I've always been interested in history. Ever since I was in school, I really wanted to do history all my life, and it was the first place I had lived where there was a historical society, and they were in the process of forming the historical society, so I've been in it pretty much since the beginning.
And Jack, you were one of the founding members, right?
Absolutely. I'm a charter member, have been, and I got wrangled into that. When I moved to Bartlett in '78, I had a next-door neighbor that decided he wanted to build a lean-to and put the rain coming off on my side of the fence. So I went to City Hall to complain, and the mayor said, "I want you to go meet this lady." He said, "I think you'd like her." This lady was named Elva Bledsoe. She had been clipping things out of the paper for over 30 years about Bartlett. And her dream was to have a historic society and have all those records available for people to look up stuff that they want to look up from back then. So I kind of got wrangled into it. She told me she wanted me to help her, and I said, "Okay, I'll do my best." So that's kind of how I got started.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great.
And from there, once you were started, how did you grow the membership of the Historical Society?
We started off with about 6 people. We were meeting at the library. We were meeting at people's houses. Wherever we could meet once a month, we would meet and talk about things. At that time, there was a lot of movement going on in Bartlett. Bartlett was growing, starting to really grow. Old homes and old buildings were being pushed to the ground. And this lady, Miss Bledsoe, went to City Hall because where the museum is today, they were going to tear the building down and put in tennis courts. She said, "We can't let that happen." So she went to the mayor, and the mayor said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" She said, "If you'll give us a 50-year lease, I'll get a Bartlett Historical Society started, and we'll preserve the history because I've got a lot of it already." That's kind of what we got into. And once we got the house and got the paperwork signed for the 50 years, which, by the way, is going to be up in another 7 years, 7 more years. Wow. I've been there the entire time, so that tells you how old I am.
So. And that house is?
It's called the Gotten House. We renamed it the museum, but it's actually the Gotten House because the Gotten family built it and lived there for many, many years. In fact, we still have some descendants from the Gotten family still in our organization, which I think is wonderful. We have 3 prime members and others that are affiliated members.
Oh, that's awesome.
The,
That's
house,
awesome.
the house was built in 1871.
Oh, that's
1871.
wonderful.
Wow.
1871.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, there may be some of the family members that actually are still in the house.
Well, we do have a resident ghost, yes. All old homes have a resident ghost. Our ghost is Mr. Mose, and he's a friendly ghost. He won't harm anybody. And I love it when school children come through because usually their first question is, do you have a ghost? And I love to tell them, yes, we do. So,
That's
thank you.
great. That's great. Well, so what is, what's the nature behind the Historical Society? What is the overall goal? Is it just preserving the history, or is it making sure that other people are aware of it?
Well, it's really both of them. What we're trying to do is gather history. Ours did, because we were forming it, we were trying to gather as much history as we could because we didn't have a lot to start with except what Mrs. Bledsoe had under her bed. But so we went around and talked to people, especially the older people, to try and get a sense of what was going on, and wrote it and tried and found a lot of documents and things. Mr. Jonathan K. Smith was a teacher here, but he was also a historian in Bartlett. And he helped us a lot getting a lot of information that we would not have been able to find if it hadn't been for him. And that was how we started moving along through that way.
And the interesting part of it is we're making history today. Mm-hmm. I mean, every day you live, you're making history.
That's right.
But it's important that you know where you came from, where you are now, and where you're going to. And that's what we try to preserve, the past, the present, and the future.
And y'all had quite a few markers that y'all have been responsible
Yes.
for helping. Can you talk a little bit about some of those?
You're my marker lady. Go ahead.
Well, we have one at the Gotten House for Nicholas Gotten. We've only have 2 that we're actually responsible for, but there's one also at the park right by the railroad, and that's called Bledsoe Park for Mrs. Bledsoe, and it has a marker there. We put one at City Hall for Gabrielle Bartlett, who the city is named after, and then we also put one out at Shadowlawn because that was formerly a black school, and now it's a part of the Bartlett City Schools. But the class they moved them out of that building in 1972, and the senior class of 1972 wanted to have some people remember that that's what that was. So they came to us and we helped them get that, and we're very proud of that.
That's incredible.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are some of the things that you have found most interesting in your kind of, you've played the role of journalists, actually going and collecting stories from people and collecting their treasured objects and finding a place to keep them, to preserve them. What are some of the great finds that you've encountered thus far?
Oh,
So many. I don't know really where to
I don't know.
start.
well, go ahead.
No, you're first.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that probably the most important thing in the house, as far as I'm concerned, is the history of the house itself. It's been there so long. It's been everything from a home for people to a police department and to a museum.
Wow.
And I don't know many people. There's been a few people tell me they've been to the museum, but we're trying to get more people to come to the museum and see what we have, because some of the things that we have is artifacts from the Durham home, which is where Kroger at the corner stage in Bartlett Boulevard, that was a retirement home. We have artifacts from that place that are probably over 100 years old.
Wow.
So
That's great.
it's amazing the things we have, but the house itself is my pride and joy. I really did a lot of work in the early years. We had a lot of fundraising by having ice cream suppers and yard sales and stuff like that. Recently, though, we've been a little bit better. We've had memberships increase. We also have been able to get some state grants. So we're plugging right along.
That's great.
That is great.
We're also doing oral histories of people to
Yes.
help remember and them just reminisce, which that is very nice. We really like to do that.
And on that point, if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't got the history of your family, stop what you're doing, go talk to your parents, find out where they came from, and see how far back you can get. I've got it back 9 generations, and I challenge you to beat me.
9 generations is incredible. How did you start that process? Were you just doing Google searches? Did you do an Ancestry.com sort of test to see where you came from and who you originated from?
I knew who my grandparents and great-grandparents were, and I knew where they were buried. But I went back to the 1850 census to see what I could find, and that's where I really started, was in 1850. Then I ran across a lady in Texas who had entirely researched the Coleman history from the time we came over.
Wow.
And she had put out a small booklet on it, and I got her book, and in there traced 2 more generations back. So it was really interesting for me to do.
That's incredible.
There's information out there everywhere, and you can find it if you know a little bit about your history and where you came from, especially 2 or 3 generations back. You can usually get a pretty good outline for what you're doing and how far you've come along.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to start that project. I'm a photographer in my free time, and so I have a personal project of archiving old images from my family and collecting them from shoe boxes and things and trying to make sure to preserve that, because it is so important.
Right.
And knowing, who and where you came from helps inform what you do today and helps you understand yourself a little bit better. So that's incredible that you're doing that on behalf of the Bartlett community itself. Yep. I've seen, I know that you all have a Facebook page that you're pretty active on and share all of your upcoming events and opportunities there. I noticed last year that you've had several maybe gallery openings or art openings where you showcased quilts and things that were made in the community. Could you share a little bit about those events and things that you host?
Yeah, we do displays a couple times a year. We've had some really nice ones. As you said, there was a quilt one. We had a doll show. Last year we did one on Bartlett High School and asked all alumni to bring things that they treasured. We obviously gave them back to them, but it was something that they all enjoyed too, and it was brought back lots of memories, and we got a lot of people that also came. We've done a number. We also were very involved with the sesquicentennial, the 150th anniversary of Bartlett. In 2016, we were in charge of the history part of it. We had a whole history weekend, and the society was headed that up. And we had, in the high school, we had about 20 people that actually portrayed people that lived in the 1800s.
Wow.
And a lot of the people that portrayed them were descendants of the people. They were,
that's awesome.
and we had about 5 of them that were playing the mayor's part, and I think 3 of them actually it was in their family.
Wow.
So that was
A full circle moment for their
Yes.
ancestors and everybody.
And right now we're doing a lot of, we've moved from meeting at the museum up to the senior center because our crowds are getting a little bit bigger because some of the speakers we had. Last month we had some, the Choctaw Indians from down in Mississippi came up and talked for about an hour. This coming Monday night, we will have a gentleman who is 101 years old who's going to attend and tell us about his trivials in World War II.
Wow.
And he lives in the area, and I met him back in probably 85, 86, when he and I both were much younger, but we both have aged since then.
Gracefully, aged
Yes,
gracefully.
gracefully is correct. But if you're not doing anything Monday night about 7 o'clock, run by the Bartlett Senior Center and listen to him talk.
We will definitely put that information in the bio so that our listeners and our viewers can access that information. That's incredible.
If you were to, if somebody called you out of the blue that said, I'm being transferred into the community and I would love to know about Bartlett, what are the top 3 things that you would say about Bartlett, about what you want them to know about your community? Not necessarily the history, but it could be historical.
Okay.
Yes. the most important thing to me is the fact that people in Bartlett, I believe, are the most welcoming people I've ever met in my life. I mean, you walk into any grocery store or anything like that, people are always saying hi, saying something to you. That's number one in my book, is we're a friendly city. Number two, we have the best police force in the United States. We're probably the safest city, in my estimation, in the state of Tennessee. And third, we have a government that runs for the people, by the people. I really believe that happens in our community. Now you're three.
And they're not contentious.
That's right.
That's one thing that is very good.
That's true.
When the last time we had a mayoral election, there were 4 or 5 candidates for mayor, 4, I believe, and we had, in fact, the Leadership Bartlett actually was the host of it, but Eric Barnes with Behind the Headlines was our narrator or moderator. Thank you. And I introduced some of them, so I was on the stage when they ended. And after it was over, he said, one thing that was really different about this is nobody was contentious and nobody got upset about it. Everybody just
They're still neighbors.
did what they're supposed to do. Yes.
Yeah. That's a wonderful thing to say about a community.
I think our growth, too, has been one thing that's sustained us. It's been a controlled growth. I mean, it's just not been rampant anywhere. And I've seen that since 78. I've been in and around Bartlett since 1978, and it's just really amazed me. When I moved to Bartlett, from Summer Avenue to the interstate was 2 lanes and narrow with no place to pull off.
And so was Stage Road.
Stage Road is what I said, from Summer all the way to the interstate, Stage Road. And there was a dairy farm out there too, where the mall is now. So,
Right.
but it's the businesses that come to Bartlett are businesses that are staying in Bartlett, and we've got some homegrown businesses that are excellent, and encourage people to look into those.
Yeah.
Like Brim's. Snacks
Brim's, yes, that's
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kelly is a homegrown. Yes, there are a number of them.
And
Both
American
members
Paper
of the chamber.
Optics.
Yes.
Yeah, American Paper.
Yes.
Yep.
And they're national and worldwide.
Oh, they are.
So is
Yes.
Kelly. So is Kelly.
Yeah.
And Memphis Record Pressing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
few.
much so.
So having been residents of Bartlett for so long, you've seen a number of changes politically, in the education sphere, in the just community atmosphere of what people are looking for. How have you felt about all of the new events and the things that are happening so far in the last year? Have you gotten to attend any of those? Has the Bartlett Historical Society been present at any of the festivals? Can we find you out in the community?
Well, one of the things that is really beneficial is our school systems. We have a great school system. And over the years, we were a part of the Shelby County school system. And for many years, right after I joined the chamber, was in the late 80s and early 90s. We wanted to start our own school system, but it just wasn't feasible. So when it became available in the early 2000s, we were very happy to create our own school system, and it's been a very good asset, and that's what a lot of people look at when they get ready to try and move to this area.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh.
In addition to Sue and I being here today, we also go to different groups and speak to them and give them a slideshow of the history of Bartlett. But we've also been out, and we always at the Bartlett Festival every year. Of course, we was actively involved in the 150th celebration. And we try to get out as much as we possibly can, and always looking for people that would like to help sponsor us on places that we go. So,
And you're always looking for new members, I assume.
always.
Yeah.
We have membership from $25 all the way to $5,000. Corporate sponsors are $5,000, and individuals are $25, and anything in between, we can work a schedule for you.
That's great. That's great. Well,
So-
and I understand that by joining the Bartlett Historical Society, you may actually find love.
Well, that's probably true. Do you want to tell the story?
No, I'll let you.
Okay, I'll tell as best I can. She and I had known each other through the Historical Society for a number of years. And then in 2003, my wife passed away, and in 2004, her husband passed away. So we started kind of going out together to eat, go to the movie, doing things like that. And finally, Gasoline got so high, I said, honey, let's get married. And we did. So you can find love in history.
Yeah. You know, get your
Absolutely.
volunteer hours in and
That's
find
right.
the love of your life.
Very true.
Well,
And we always say Mrs. Bledsoe had died by that time. We always say we wondered what she would have thought if that if she knew
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And it's 18 years strong so
18
far.
years.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yep.
That's incredible. Yeah. So you mentioned, Sue, there was a organization you mentioned earlier, Leadership Bartlett. And if you're not familiar, Leadership Bartlett is a leadership program facilitated by the Bartlett Chamber of Commerce. But we are sitting with the founding mother of Leadership Bartlett. And so would you like to tell us a little bit about the process of starting that and what that means and those opportunities for people to get involved with Leadership Bartlett? I actually, shameless plug, am part of the 2025 Leadership Bartlett class. So I was fortunate enough to hear a presentation from Jack and Sue earlier this year. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. We need to get this message in front of as many people as possible. So I will let you tell a little bit about how that started.
Okay. Well, we started it in 1990. The former mayor, Keith McDonald, and I had gone to a number of different chamber things, and they had leadership programs in a lot of other cities, and we were very impressed by them. So in 1990, we had the opportunity to start it, and it has been going ever since, and it has really been an asset to the city. It's a 6-month program that shows people the whole aspect of all the aspects of Bartlett. It shows you the medical, the educational, the business part, and the best part is they take a 2-day trip to Nashville to see the state government and how that works. And that has been very beneficial in that people know more about their city, and our mayors have used that to put different people on boards because they know that they're interested in Bartlett and what's going on in Bartlett. So we have an alumni association. We also started a youth leadership program, and that is not in. That has been suspended since the pandemic. We haven't brought that back yet, but that is for high school students, and it's a very good program again to show them it somewhat shadows the adult, but it's much more active and much more entertaining to keep them involved.
It's been entertaining for me so far.
So, and the other thing we wanted to do with them is let them know what's in Bartlett, because high school students go to college and then they go out and see what's else in the world. And the grass is always greener on the other side. So we wanted them to know what was in Bartlett and give them an opportunity to come back to us instead of going somewhere else.
Yeah, because they may not realize exactly what Brother does or what Kelly does or what Youth Villages does.
And they go in these industries and see what's going on. They really like to go to Brims. That's
They
another. That's a
they get to
homegrown
snack.
Yes.
So I think this has been very informational,
Absolutely.
and I really appreciate y'all's time today.
Thank you. We enjoyed
Thank
being
you.
here.
If anybody would like to know, the museum is open the first and third Sunday of every month from 2 to 4. And when we have special events or special displays, we usually put it on the city's website and our website. So,
And if you want to bring groups, all you have to do is call and we'll set up a meeting time and do a tour of the museum for them.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait for my tour.
Me too. I definitely have not gotten a chance to go past the museum, and it's been on my mind. Like I said, I've been following your Facebook page for a while and seeing the events, so it's definitely at the top of my list for this year. And after you have learned about your history, watching this podcast and called to schedule your own walkthrough and own tour through the museum, and you are looking for what's new and next in the city of Bartlett, please make plans to join us for our State of the City address that will be coming up March 13th. And that will be an evening event, and it will be in partnership with the city of Bartlett. And our mayor will be speaking and giving all of the updates on what's going on and how our city is growing and just continuing to thrive and flourish. So I hope you're able to join us for that as well. I think with that, we've kind of
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. So thanks again from First South Financial and the Bartlett Chamber and for the Bartlett Historical Society.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And don't forget to like and subscribe by clicking the button below, or I think Maria says ring that bell, ring a ding.
Ring a ding ding. Bye.